Hello. In the process of cleaning up my office, I found some interesting things. One of which, let me find the disc. Where's the disc? The demo reel, the only demo reel that I've ever made, which was directly after college. Why does it say demo reel CD? It is a CD? Can you put... So I just put the file and burned it onto a CD. What a better way to share it with the world than to watch it literally 20 years later. I graduated film school in 2006. It is now 2026, and we will watch my college demo reel. This is literally the only demo reel I've ever made. Probably why I don't work too much, but I really focused on sports cinematography. But this one has a lot of commercials, PSAs, and things that I shot in film school. Gotta love the widescreen. I'm going to spell my whole name for you and cinematographer for you. And here we are. The United Nations PSA we made on the psych at Art Center. Pausing here. I shot this on 35 millimeter film because we had United Nations budget. There was like grants available if you were creating PSAs for the United Nations. So a handful of directors and DPs would take on these projects because there was some funding behind it. And so this is with my good film school friend Tade, who I haven't talked to in a while. He directed this again for the United Nations, and we shot this on 35 millimeter. I believe this might have been a 435. Let's call it the 435, rented from Claremont Camera. So, of course, the map was overlaid. I wonder what these people are up to. So we worked with a graphic artist who also was going to Art Center, and they created the world map. And there was a big, kind of like we can all heal the world if we all are in this together kind of thing. And so, of course, the map wasn't there. The piece of glass that they're touching wasn't there, so they just had to put their hand out. And then there was like a cool radiating thing that the graphic artist put on there. But it was a pretty simple shoot where they're out of focus, and then they walk up to the focus mark. They all put their hand out as if they're touching a map. This was cool. This was a spec commercial I shot for my buddy Sean Click, who directed it. And it was a van spot. We actually got to shoot this in our hometown of Fresno, where we both were from. I didn't meet Sean until I got this Art Center. So we both were from Fresno. We both started Art Center on the same day, and we didn't know each other. So it was cool. The beginning of a lifelong friendship with Sean. And this was a cool mural in downtown Fresno. And we had a skateboarder with some really cool vans doing some things around Fresno. By the way, Vans commercial shot on the 435. This is a spec condom commercial shot here in Fresno as well, shot on the same weekend as the Vans spot. And this was, also 435. These were, if I remember correctly, a series of like 15-second spots shot for director Moses Venegas, who brought me on as a DP. We shot, I think this was like XL2 with the PS Technic adapter to adapt cine lenses, PL mount lenses with a spinning ground glass in the PS Technic device. And so it actually looked not too bad considering it was shot on video. These were, this was like a poker face kind of thing for like online poker, spec commercials for online poker. Cool dolly zoom thing, or maybe it was just a dolly in. Another PSA. I don't think this was for the United Nations. Maybe it was. It might have been. It was a PSA about human trafficking. Again, shot on 35 on the Art Center stage. Yeah, I don't know. There was black lights. We're shooting with black lights. Like, this is interesting. Okay, this Robert McClendon was the director on this one. This one is a kind of a spoof short film spec commercial for a product that never existed. It was a shampoo called Yum Yum Shampoo, and the person here in the scene is Robert's brother. I forgot his name, but this was very interesting to shoot, and the set decoration was very interesting too here. I think we shot at someone's house in Pasadena, but yeah, Yum Yum Shampoo. I gotta find that one, because that one I don't think I have a copy of. Yum Yum Shampoo shot on an XL2, probably with PS Technic and some cinema glass. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look too bad for video. Ah, this was a Theraflu spec commercial, shot on 16 millimeter film. We shot this on an SR3 with I believe just regular prime lenses, 16 millimeter prime lenses on the SR3s. And my first time, I think, shooting 16 millimeter was for this spot and a Netflix spot that we did in the same weekend, I think. Director's name was Christopher Marquez. Great guy. Shot that in the Art Center offices. Shout out to Christopher Harris, who was also a film student with me. And I see Christopher every year at NAB, and I always look forward to seeing him. Same weekend, I believe. This is the Netflix spot we did on the same camera, the SR3 16 millimeter film in Hollywood somewhere, probably without permits. Then I cut back to the van spot on 35 millimeter film here in Fresno. There we go. Okay, now we're back to the UN spot with that cool graphic. They should have probably touched a piece of glass now that I look at it. Yum Yum Shampoo. That was a fun one. Oh, I think there's a, yep. Okay, now we're back to the United Nations Human Trafficking PSA. 35 millimeter. That was a cool shot. So we had one take on the shattering of the pumpkin, the glass pumpkin, because I think Dan Weiss was the director here. Shout out to Dan. Even after film school, Dan was the only one I knew who had a HVX 200, which could record on P2 cards. And my very first tryout for NFL Films was shot with Dan's camera at an arena football game in Bakersfield, California. Shout out to Dan. I owe him everything. But we only had one pumpkin. We cranked that camera to 120 frames and set the focus to the floor and pumped a whole bunch of light into it so we could capture the image, and the glass pumpkin shattered. Essentially, this PSA is kind of, there's a Cinderella theme here, which is why you see a glass slipper in the bottom right corner and a pumpkin, and it shatters, and it's about human trafficking. So very, very cool creative concept from Dan 20 years ago. So now we're back to the online poker, like 15-second spots, really quick. I think we did 4 spec commercials in one day, if I can remember. Maybe it was 2 days, but I remember it was a whirlwind. Yep, 4 of a kind. Yeah. Moses Venegas, director. Probably my favorite shot of that whole thing which was the title, the end card there for the Cinderella thing. Is that it? I do cherish those days shooting on film in film school. This was, I went to film school from 2004 to 2006, and so that was really when HD video was taking over. Really, I thought it'd be cool to share this because there's a lot of people that watch my content that are fresh out of film school. Just so you know, like, I went to film school, I shot all that, but it wasn't my goal to do that for a living. My goal was to shoot football. And so it became really hard to convince anybody that I could shoot sports when I have a demo reel that it's littered with commercials, essentially spec commercials. I graduated in the summer of 2006, and then my internship for NFL Films began the fall of 2006. Literally, I walked across the graduation stage. The next day, me and my mom jumped in my truck and we drove across the country to New Jersey, and that's when my internship started. I was actually a couple days late to the start of the internship because I had to finish graduating. It wasn't a requirement to be a graduate, but I knew I needed to get my diploma and be done with film school. Because I shoot so much professional football, I don't own that footage. And so there is a fine line of like, how can I showcase what I can shoot for the NFL when I don't own that footage and I don't have the rights to essentially create a demo reel of my footage. Creating a demo reel from 2007, which is when I started shooting for NFL films, until today, like there's essentially 19 seasons of content that is not mine, nor do I have access to chop up something to say, hey, this is what I can create. So if you do follow me on Instagram, I usually try and share pieces that I have shots in or that I've DP'd for the NFL. Again, but that is not my footage. It is something that they've shared and I've just reshared it essentially. It's kind of in some ways cringy to watch a 20-year-old demo reel, but in some ways I'm still proud of that stuff because it was such a launching point of my career. And hats off to Art Center and the faculty that got me to that point, and all the people that I got to collaborate with. Being on the cinematography track at Art Center means you don't have to fund any of the projects. Directors would come up with their spec commercial ideas and then bring on student cinematographers to shoot those projects. And so a lot of the financial burden to get some of this great equipment and film stock is on the directors. And so this demo reel would not have been possible if the directors didn't have faith in me to shoot their projects. So hats off to them. And if you're one of these directors that I worked with and we haven't connected in a long time, please reach out. It was really cool to look back on some of this footage. 20 years since most of us graduated. We should probably have a reunion. That'd be kind of fun. So until next time, bye.